Okay, so I'm early today. I will even wait. Oh, we've got 3 people, so somebody's watching. Well, I'm Brooke from Printrbot.com, and here it is on Printrbot Live at 4:16, which is especially early, but Dave's doing shipping duty right now. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Okay. So anyway, I'm all alone, and for the first time, I am controlling the shot, I think. Is that what happens? So for the pre-show, I'm just playing with the tools here. This is crazy. You see this right here? See that? I hurt myself today. I got in a fight with a table, and my ear lost. So Jeremy taped me up. Otherwise, I'd be bleeding on the set here. So, all right. Well, I've got a few things to talk about, so we're just going to hang out a little bit. If anybody has a comment, hit me up, because I've actually learned from Dave now how to answer comments and to see if anybody has a question. So hit me up with questions. I'm going to wait for a few minutes to start. I might not wait that long. But here it is, 4:17. It might be a slow show with me doing everything right here. When I watch Facebook Live videos, people always have these moments of silence where they're typing. Today, that is me. Hey, Brooke, any update on the plans to produce flexible build plates for the play? Simple and plus. I actually just put my hands on those today. So yes, absolutely. In fact, I don't know if I've showed you those before, but let me grab them. So my mic is on, but I'm going to leave all this set up, so I'll be right back. I just have to walk into my other shop here. So if you're tuning in, I am here. Did I put those flexible build plates in here? The plus and, oh, there they are. Yeah. My mic is on Facebook Live. When do you, what's realistic on these? Just the turnaround time for the plater?
Cut time and that.
Cut time's not a problem. Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. Okay. So, I'm back. Brooke Drum with Printrbot.com here on Facebook Live doing Printrbot Live. And had a question about the build plates for this one's actually dusty, for the other models. Dustin Jones asked, is there any plans on doing the flexible build plates for the other models? Yes. And I have a couple of them here. This one happens to be the upgrade for this looks like the Play or the Simple. I'm not sure which. But yeah, so we've cut out all the shapes. But the thing is, when you cut spring steel with a water jet, sometimes it's a little humid in our shop. And these, we noticed on a few of these early ones that we shipped out that the edges can have a little residual surface rust. And I just wasn't happy with it. And also, this blue kind of coating, I think it's the heat treating, but they must spray this with something or dip it or something. The surface of it can get these little microscopic scratches if you get just even dust in between two pieces and they slide together. So I just didn't like it. So to guard against that and no rust, it looks better. So what we do is we ship them out to the plater and we nickel coat them. So in fact, since I'm early today for a first, I'll get to your other questions here in a second, but since I'm early, I'm going to show you what they look like when they're coated. So I got to go out to the shop. Again, I'm alone today being cameraman and your host, Dave has got shipping duty today. Where are... There. So if you're just tuning in, we got a few people here. Here I am with Printrbot Live, and I'm showing, answering a question by Dustin. This is what they look like when they're nickel plated. And so they turn out really nice, and you can even like buff them and shine them, and all of those surface little itty bitty scratches. I don't know that the camera will pick this up. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. It takes a second to zoom. Let me see if I can get it. There, you can kind of see it. There. Anyway, so these little scratches, they all go away when you plate them. So that's, now you can see my fingerprints on them. But we want to deliver them that, with this nickel plating. So the turnaround time for this is a couple weeks. So we've got these all queued up to WaterJet. WaterJet's working fine now. And we have all the sizes for all the various printers that we have. So yeah, just hang tight. So with the WaterJet going down, it's, it just put us a little bit behind on some of our orders. And so we've got those lined up, queued up to do, and we'll get those out. All right, next question. Again, we're in the pre-show for Printrbot Live. I've got some content that I want to cover late here in a few minutes, but I'll take some questions right now. Let's see. We've got Chuck Sanders. I guess I should pre-read this. When are you going to stop being an awesome company? LOL. Well, it depends on who you ask. Maybe somebody else have a different opinion, but I appreciate that, Michael. Let's see. What camera are you using? I'm guessing the Mevo. Yeah, it's a Mevo. And so I don't know if I've ever showed you this. This is a little behind the scenes. But check this out. So I've got an iPad, and it's connected to this little itty bitty camera, the Mevo. And so I can just change the shot. And if you wait just a second, it will update. And it should zoom in. Did it zoom in? There it goes. So that's all I did. I just changed the square, and it zoomed in to show how I control the shot. And there are some face following features that it has. So it's pretty nice because Dave can go back there and he watches the, there it goes. And I just love that. It does all the zooming. The camera's not moving, but it's a 4K camera, and it does, by framing your shot, you can make it look like you're like in a multicam shooter if you got some, fancy stuff. But it's really just, I think it's a $400 camera. But we really like it. So it is the Mevo. And today it's all run by me. So you may not get some sweet shots like Dave usually does. All right, what else? We've got, this is Chuck Sanders. I've always considered a Printrbot, just haven't done it. I have a different machine that I'm not 100% happy with. Well, the fact that you're already 3D printing is good. Some CEOs of 3D printer companies will lie to you and say that their printer's the best. But it's always a trade-off on what type of machine you're looking for. So the things that I can say about Printrbot's are they're workhorses, and they last a long time. I had a tweet from a guy today that had an old ceramic hot end, like an old style hot end that we were using. And he had it running for 3 years, and it finally broke on him. It looks like he tried to take it apart, which he shouldn't have done. But anyway, so I'm giving him a free one. But it was just a reminder that my machines last a long time. I actually had Microsoft tell me that we have a lot of Printrbot's in the wild because they can see what printers are being used to 3D print with Windows. And they were shocked at how many, it was tens of thousands that we have live. And a lot of those have to be old models because sales have slowed down in the last 2 years. It's been on a decline. Now it's stabilized, but I didn't sell tens of thousands in the last couple of years, you know what I mean? So they last a long time. So if you're looking for a new printer, It's price point. It's, you know, are you looking for super fine detail? I mean, what are you using it for is really the first question. Because if it's not a good match for Printrbot, I'll tell you. But if it's just general printing, yeah, Printerbots are good. And I think they're priced right. Do you want a kit? Well, our Smalls kit is the only kit we have available right now. Those are cheap. You know, in fact, there's one here. This one, we printed the orange here, but we ship the black parts. I printed these in orange to show you what don't come with the bot, but the black parts we print and ship. But we also have a bare bones kit if you want to print your own stuff. It's even cheaper. We do have, you know, the one thing on our site that amazes me is we have some listed as certified, Printrbot certified pre-owned. It's frankly what Mercedes says about their used cars. And when we say used, it could mean one of two things. Either it was returned from, like, let's say Amazon, because we've done some deals with Amazon where brand new printers, they don't want to sell them, so we say, okay, we'll take them back, and they get their money back. So it could be people that are printers that haven't been used at all, and we, again, take them out of the box and test them and make sure everything's printing fine before we box them back up, and we call them certified pre-owned. So a lot of the certified pre-owns are new and unused, but they were on the shelf for a while. Some of them have been returns, and if there's any problems, we fix them, and on very, very slight occasions, there might be, you'd have to look with the magnifying glass, but there might be some very small blemishes in the pre-owned stuff, because sometimes we're putting something together in our screwdriver slips, and we put like a little ding in the paint, and I can't sell that as new. I just don't like to do that. So we mark them down, put those parts for sale as a certified pre-owned. So there are certified pre-owned in the shop right now, and there's a bunch. I have a pallet of simples that are available, and we mark them down. And I think there's some plays, too. I don't know if there's any pluses, but if you're looking to get into a printer cheap, check out Printrbot.com on those certified pre-owned. Anyway, well, good luck with your old printer that you're not too happy with, and whatever you choose, we endorse the 3D printing community. You don't have to buy a Printrbot for me to like you, that's for sure. All right, what else? Just want to give a huge, I like this, good comments. I'm still waiting for somebody to rail on me. It's 4:29. We're going to start very soon, folks, but I thought I'd answer some questions in a pre-show. I'm all alone. Dave's not here. He's on shipping duty, like I've said 3 times. Brian Dowling says, just wanted to give a huge shout out to you and your team. I'm a professional designer and love my play. I'm also the scout leader for my son's pack. Awesome. I was a Boy Scout, Cub Scout too. He's 6. His son's 6. I hope to get involved with the Adopt-A-Bot and teach the kids about printing. I built all of them backpack fishing poles. That's awesome. It was a huge hit. Will I be able to get involved, or are they all spoken for? So I'm going to put you off just for a second, and I'll start with Adopt-A-Bot update and tell you what's going on with that. There's some people asking, where are the files? Where are the files? I'm going to let you know in just a second. So it is 4:30, but I got a few more questions I'd like to run through. Heyo, any work done on the dual extrusion project? I'm currently assembling mine right now. Well, sort of. Yes, I have all the parts printed, and I've tried to do the Printrbot logo that our friend in Florida has prepared, and we were having trouble with it, and I was just reminded at how much dual extrusion printing has to go before it is easy. So I actually got frustrated with mine, and I put it aside for a few days. So I don't have anything to show today, but let me tell you, it needs to be easier, and I do think that there's some software things that we can do to make it easier. I've mentioned this before, but I've also been talking to Mosaic, who's a company, I believe they're in Canada, and they do the palette, I think. They have like 2 models that are out, and then one, I may be saying it wrong, I don't remember what the name of the model was, but Mosaic has this system that you can buy, and I forget how much it is, but you buy it, and it welds different color filament together and does the software to like have the printer know exactly when that new color is coming, and it can do multicolor prints with just stringing one filament line, it's all multicolored, into, I bet I can show you some examples of mosaic while I'm talking about it. So we're going to start in just a second. Now it's 4:31, but I got something else that I can show you, so hang on. I'll be right back. This is my third trip out here, third or fourth. Let's see if I can find my color prints. Jeremy, do you know where my samples are from Mosaic? Oh. Oh, you're going to love this. So I'm talking with Mosaic about making their new, something went wrong with the video. Hang on, got to fix this. What went wrong with the video? Hello? Am I still? It looks fine. Okay. I'm waiting. There's a lag on the Facebook, so I see it here. Okay, we're good. All right, anyway, I'm working with Mosaic on getting their multi-color, off-the-shelf unit, working with Printrbot. And I said, I don't want a unit yet because I want to get in on the very newest one that I think they're releasing sometime next year. And we want to integrate it with, go deep into even firmware and maybe even look at how we can make it work with the cloud. And I know Polar 3D is pursuing that too. But I said, what I would like is some examples of your multicolored prints. So check this out. I'll zoom in here. So this is a polar bear. And again, they have this machine that welds these colors together. And, it is very, very nice. Now, this was not done with the Printrbot. At least I don't think it was. I'm not sure what their go-to printer is, but it's really about the software. These guys are like geniuses with the software. So that one, and by the way, this feels like it is completely solid. If it's not solid, it's close to solid. So here's another one. And seeing these type of prints at shows over the years is finally kind of like, you know what, I want to do that. But I think this is possible with off-the-shelf software. You just have to go through all kinds of gyrations to get the calibration done right. So this 2-into-1 that we're working on as a project on the side that I'm having a little trouble with right now, it's here's another one. This is all Mosaic, by the way. This is Mosaic, the Mosaic. I don't want to call it a printer, but it's not really an extruder. It's like a multi-color thing that you can feed into supposedly any printer, but I really like that one. Very, very clean. A couple more. This one just is like an example of, doing a product prototype. Just a prototype of a mouse. Nothing works. It's just a static model. But look how clean the lines are in that. So my hat is off to Mosaic. This one is an example of when you do, this is PVA plus 3 different colors, red, black, and gray. And then they dissolved it in, it's a palette plus. They dissolved it in, and that's cool, there's a Mosaic on that side. They dissolved it in water, so this was all printed in place using Mosaic. So, they're ahead of the curve, right? We're working on a project for a 2-into-1, which is like starting slow. But instead of 2 heads, it's just 1. So 2 filaments come down, and it uses retraction and pushes through. So they've got a whole different method. And if you want to, this is my favorite. The reason I like this one is it's such a contrast between white and black. And that is just about the cleanest dual color print I've ever seen. It's crazy. Now, I hear that Prusa can do very, very good prints too. I haven't seen his in person, at least I don't remember seeing it. They gave these out for a long time, even with the Kickstarter, they had this one going. They have little tags. Black, poly smooth, green PLA, purple PLA, yellow. And then they actually smooth this with alcohol. They smooth PLA with alcohol. Oh, that's poly. Actually, the black is the one that's smooth, so that must be the poly smooth. And then this is another one that's multicolor. Hips and 3 colors of PLA. So when this stuff is possible, and I will have to say that it's the ones that use the dissolvable. I mean, this one was hips, so you have to use limonene. I have some, I just don't know how to pronounce it. That is where I think this dual extrusion that we're working on has value. The colors, you know, fine, but it's not that useful. It's when you can do complicated prints, and these are just exemplary of what you could do. But here's what's cool. I asked them to give me some filament, and look at the transition. By the way, if you're wondering what happened to my ear, I was attacked by a table today. I think I told you we're downsizing. We're cutting our square footage out here pretty significantly. Over the past, I've been in business I think I'm 6 years, or it's almost 6 years. We peaked really quickly, and then it's come down some since. But I didn't realize how much junk I had. Just by clearing out my junk, I can operate in a smaller space. So I was tearing down some tables today to get ready for that move that we're working on. And I hit my head with a table leg. So anyway, this is the transition you can see. Can you see that okay? It goes pretty quickly from one color to another. And I mean, they've sent me a whole bunch of these. So I have yet to print with it. I just thought it would be funny to do like a spiral print using this. It would just be a funky pattern. But I wanted to see how this, how the filament, I wanted to know what the transitions were like and if it makes it hard to move it through the extruder. So I've got a bunch of test pieces. I'm going to try that. I figured that was the first test to seeing how this mosaic works. Now I will say that, you know, on this filament, you probably can't see it with the camera. I could try to, that's as far in as I can zoom. But it does look like there's a little like ribbed edge. You can tell like the gears, like the hobbed, there's some hobbed teeth of some sort that are cutting in to the filament. So it's kind of got this like hob marks, but it is smooth. I don't think it'll be a problem. But what's weird is some of these transitions, they don't have that hob mark. So I'm guessing that that some of these welds or whatever they're doing, I guess they're welds, some of them drop slightly under. Yeah, I can tell. It goes slightly under 1.75 or whatever this filament is. And so those hobs aren't digging into those under extruded sides. But I don't think it's going to be a problem. So yes, I will offer someday, next year, I will offer the Mosaic printer, if all goes well, for use with Printrbot. But I figure there's some people that don't want to pay the premium and they want to do open source stuff, so that's why we're working on that project. All right. Well, it's 4:40. I want to go pretty fast. I've talked for a while. I'm going to scan these questions real quick, see if there's anything. Simple Metal rocks. Thank you. Just wanted to praise you with your Adopt-A-Bot program. So let's talk Adopt-A-Bot. So the Adopt-A-Bot, I am so excited about Adopt-A-Bot, but now I'm in the drudgery of setting up a nonprofit. So I did send out that one newsletter, and I've got this new sign-up. Oh, like an idiot, I've got it zoom back. I'm such an amateur. Anyway, there, that's a little better. Okay. There we are, sorry. Anyway, so I got this sign up and everybody's finding the right seat on the bus. And that is so important because I was overwhelmed with people saying, yeah, I want to get involved, I want to get involved. And it takes time to get people in the right seat. It's so important. So right now we have closed down phase 2. And what that means is we've sold 50 bots in phase 2. And those bots we are preparing here now. And no, they haven't shipped yet. And I'm going to tell you why they haven't shipped. So the idea was with the end of phase 2, so the 50 that are going to come to you guys, I originally said, well, this should be easy. I'm going to change the smalls into more 3D printable. And I've had some really good ideas with this, and I've got them drawn. But then I went and checked my stock, and I found that these are the old Simple used these 12 millimeter bars for the Z. You can see them back here. Maybe you can, yeah. I have a lot of these bars, and I thought, you know what? I really, really like that Z upgrade of the smalls is one of my favorite upgrades because, here it is. The reason I like this upgrade for the smalls, it didn't sell well. I don't even know if it's available. But the reason I like this over this is when you go to replace these parts, let me see if I can frame it a little better. When you go to replace these metal parts with printed parts, well, it's very difficult to replace these parts, these big plates. And so I'm probably going to end up just doing either metal or laser cut wood for this bottom plate, because that's probably fine. It's easy to do. I'm probably going to be forced to use metal on the bed, and this is, I think, a good starter size. So we have some of these. We'll cut some more, and that will come with the kit. But I oversized, if you remember, one of the Easter eggs in this smalls was this little screw right here. If you take that out, I don't have any tools with me, but if you take that out, it's taken out here. See how this extends beyond the 4 inches of the build plate? So I made this arm long enough to go to 6 inches. Well, when you're doing all printed parts, the reason I was able to do that is I've got all this metal for stiffness. But if I'm going to do printed parts on this Adopt-A-Bot smalls that I've been working on, what I realized is I need to get rid of this panel. And so what I need to do is do a clamp. And by doing the clamp, these little bar ends, I know this is kind of technical, and maybe you don't care, but these little bar ends are just kind of holding them, and they're just push in or pound in. And the thing the reason that won't work is because I actually need to make these fatter, and they need to clamp. So this is an example. It's kind of a lame example. I've got some better PLA that's printing out there now. But you see how these clamp onto the bars? Because you have to clamp these down so this won't twist. When this goes back and forth, you don't want it to twist at all, or your hot end's going to be swinging around. So I think I can eliminate these metal pieces a little bit on this bar, and I have that space to use because I've got an extra 2 inches. And to get rid of this front plate, that's going to be printed, so I'm going to move this in a little bit. So anyway, all that I'm trying to say is I've got the design, and I'm testing it, but I want to make some little improvements to this clamping system. And also, I want to use these. You see how much cleaner this 12 millimeter bars is, as opposed to all of this that goes on this one. You have your bars, and then you have this backing plate to keep it stiff. Well, that complicates things. And for a printed bot, you don't want to have to require metal. That was there for stiffness. But these aren't as tall. So I'm going to clamp these at the bottom here. It's just going to be taller, and integrate that into my Z block. So what I thought was going to be fast and, it's just a smalls with printed. Well, it's actually harder than I thought. And I actually have a bunch of these bars. I have hundreds of these bars that I used in the Simple. And I have these flanged, I forget what they're called, but they're 12 millimeter. This also simplifies things on the smalls. You probably can't see it, but if you can, I have 4 bearings on this for this, and then I actually have 4 bearings here. These are 12 millimeter bearings. But see the size difference for these flange bearings? They're actually smaller, and they're plenty tall to use. So I actually, while this may raise the cost if you were designing your own bot, you may make these trade-offs using these cheap bearings, to work with 12 millimeter bars. But I'm giving these away essentially for free, and I have so many of them that I can't return them, so I might as well use them. So anyway, I have postponed the release of the files because I think I can make a better bot that is more printable with better hardware if you guys will just be patient and let me finish. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm trying to decide on whether or not the Z, I know the Z is going to be 12 millimeter bars with these bearings, but I don't know yet if I'm going to do the Y with these. So I'm testing this clamp system on the 8 millimeter bars. So that's what the holdup is. So that's the update on the Adopt-A-Bot files, but once I get those files done, then we can ship the kits. But I don't want to ship you kits with files that haven't been tested, so that's the holdup. By the way, the general holdup in my life was last week, very exciting. My daughter McKenna is at college. So we took her to college, and that took the whole weekend and some days. So very glad that my daughter's enjoying college, but it does slow down work a lot, plus this move that we're trying to do. All right, so the Adopt-A-Bot is almost, once we ship these kits, which I figure it'll be about a week, about another week before we can ship all of these kits, or begin shipping these kits. That 50 is a lot, but I'm partially already kitted in these. I just want to make sure these files are done. So once those ship out, you'll have the files, you'll print, and you'll deliver those to schools, and then we're into phase 3. So after receiving all of this, get in the right seat on the bus, I've definitely got some people that I'll be reaching out to lead different teams. And I have reached out to some individuals already. There's already, I think I might have mentioned, there's already a guy that's reworking boards. I need more help with that. Wiring is the next thing because it takes time. So I'll need help reworking wiring. And that phase 3 will be, I guess we'll choose this bot that I'm designing now to start off with because I have free parts and I designed it, so if there's problems with it, I can fix it. We'll launch phase 3 with this bot, but I'm totally open to people donating their old bots and community members reworking those, or even other models of printers. Like I said, the one gentleman in Canada that said he's sourced that Frankenbot that I did with him and a student down very low. So I actually even bought some cheap ramps. I mean, I have tons of boards that we can rework, so those will be free for a while. But once we have to buy those for phase 3, for these $99 printers that go into schools, we might want to find some cheaper parts than I sell, because I make in the U.S., and I can't compete with China on a ramps board. I think it was like $30 for like a knockoff Arduino, fairly poorly made ramps board. What else? There was even an LCD screen. It's like $30. I can't make a printer board for $30. So anyway, we'll get phase 3 going, but it's really going to be organization. I've got my bank account now. I'm trying to decide on if I just call it Adopt-A-Bot, but I need to find a .com. There's some guys that have volunteered for web work. So anyway, lots and lots to do. So it'll probably take a month or 2 before we actually start receiving, getting bots into schools on phase 3, because there's a lot of work to do. And it's organizational, because what's the point of doing this unless it scales? So that's your update. You'll be hearing from me very shortly, you leaders, and I'll reach out to each individual group that said this is the group that I want to serve in, and we'll start feathering out some work. But don't lose heart. One of the things I'm worried about is, this kind of happened organically. It wasn't my intention to start a nonprofit right off the bat, but as the interest has grown and I see it as a good fit for, what do you do with the 3D printer? You print printers for schools, because that's education. And it's fun, and it's mechanical, and so there's a lot of people interested in doing this. But what I'm worried about is as we get set up as a real organization, there'll be a little bit of a lull in the excitement, I fear, until we're really ready to launch. So we can talk about that. I'm also wanting to do and you can watch for this in the newsletter for the Adopt-A-Bot. Thought it'd be fun to do just a Q&A once we have our leaders in place and just talk about our plans, and so you guys can meet some of the leaders. So once those people accept, we can do that, but it's probably a few weeks away. All right. Somebody says the pallet is $1,000 US. Okay, that's expensive, but those are nice prints, so I can't do that without the pallet right now. We'd be running a labor sale. Would love to take the last two. Labor Day?
Yeah.
Is Labor Day coming? Okay, we'll do a Labor Day sale. Hey, what a great idea. We will do that. Week after next. So Joe Gammon, thank him for reminding me. Let's see, more stuff here. Dave's back. Welcome back, Dave. Running solo here. It's not, well, I had to leave a few times to go get stuff, which was kind of embarrassing, but anyway. Did you release the files on the LE yet? Oh, crud. No, I didn't. Dave, can you beat me over the head right after and remind me to release the files on the LE? And I think there was something else somebody wanted files to. Oh, the upgrades as well. You know what has surprised me in this Adopt-A-Bot is that there are machinists that even want to step up to the plate and make parts in metal. Yeah, it's a 3D printer and we're 3D printing parts, but some parts are better in metal. So if we could take the design that I have that's mostly printed parts and start to improve that by actually giving metal options that kind of fit the same screw holes, that would be pretty cool. It's kind of like what I've done with the smalls. But anyway, these guys that have CNC and want to serve, so cool. One guy said he had a whole shop. I forget where he worked, but he had very, very exotic equipment. He's like, they let me use the whole shop if it's for personal use or for, like a cause. So I think we're going to find out that the workforce for this Adopt-A-Bot thing is even bigger than we thought, but we'll just accept anybody who's willing right now. And you can serve however you can. I have a mom, I think it was a mom or a dad, I don't remember if it was a mom or a dad, but said, I want to get my kids involved. What is a job that we can do that the kids could do? And so I said, well, we could do wiring, and I can send them some tools to just cut wires to the right length. Because I have all this wire that is in a big rat's nest. Some of it's organized, but not very much. It's stuff that we can't use because it's too hard to rework that, and it's costly. But for Sweat Equity, it's free. So I give you the materials, and even kids could cut wire length. Now, it gets hard when it goes to the crimping, but that woring is something that I thought she could do with her kids, or he, I don't know. But that parent was like, yeah, I'm up for it. And then they said, hey, this would be a great project to show at I think there's like a county, it's a fair or somewhere where people come together to see projects that the community does for a good cause. And they're even going to use the Adopt-A-Bot and the work that they're doing, printing their own bot and delivering it to a school as something to highlight in that little showcase. So I'm excited, but man, I need help with the organization. All right, I have another thing I want to show you, and then we'll pretty much be done. So if you guys have comments or questions, I'll hit Dave up for anything. Now you can are you on the feed right now? Yeah, it's hard for me to read this and talk, so you read. If there's anything, you tell me. You can just vocalize the question. But we did as I'm moving stuff around in my shop and like squeezing down to a smaller space, I turned up a bunch of stuff that I didn't realize. One is that our exotic filament doesn't sell that well. I think it's because some of the exotics are high price, but they're not high price anymore because on our website, I took a bunch of stuff I had too much of. Like one, I have tons of NinjaFlex and SemiFlex. So if you're looking for a deal on filament, and believe me, I'm losing money on selling this stuff. I mean, I think it barely pays for what I paid for this stuff. So I'm not trying to hard sell you here. I'm just telling you, if you want the best deal on filament going anywhere, it's at Printrbot.com right now. So this is Tallman Bridge. I like this stuff. It's bridge nylon. It's really good. If you're into that, $10. On sale right now for $10. How heavy is this? I don't know how much this is. 1 pound. A pound of bridge for $10. And there's other stuff I won't mention, but I'm just trying to hit all the highlights. We have this sampler pack. Now, some people don't like anything that's not on a spool, but for a while we had these that if you just want a bunch of colors and you don't want to have to buy, you know, 15, 20 bucks and have all these rolls, these are a great deal. How much is in total weight? Do you know, Dave, on this? But that's $10. So that's, I don't know how much weight. But you get a bunch of different colors, and that is cheap. Quarter kilograms times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 colors. 2 pounds? So that's a full kilogram for $10. Anyway, you get different colors with that, so check that out. If you just go to Printrbot.com, and you can see that big header banner on our site. But the ones, oh, there's also lots of ABS. ABS doesn't sell that well, but some people really like it. I can't believe I printed all of my Kickstarter stuff in ABS. That's still just, every time I think about it, I'm like, what in the world? But it's stronger. So if you do like ABS, these are half kilogram, right? These half kilogram rolls are $8, and there's several different colors. So if you want some ABS, buy it up. What else? Different colors, some odd colors of PLA. Not odd, well, some of them are odd. But I just didn't want to keep around, if I had 10 rolls of something, I just didn't want to keep them around until we reorder and we can restock. But this one happens to be transparent orange, which is a great color. Tangerine or something, I think it's called. And again, $8. So even if you go to Amazon and look for the cheap Chinese stuff that's going to suck or not perform well, it won't be this cheap. So go to our site and buy up that filament so I can get rid of it, and you can have cheap filament. I'm saving the best for last. So NinjaFlex and SemiFlex. Lots of different colors. I mean, you know, like 4 or 5 different colors. There's blue, gold, black, water, which is like a sort of a transparent, translucent. And then there's even, I think, white, red. Is it? Semi-flex only on red. But anyway, go look at the colors. They're available. They're all there. But to get NinjaFlex for $35, you can't get NinjaFlex or Semi-flex for $35 anywhere. So check it out. This is half a kilogram. I love this stuff, to be honest. It's really fun. But get it while it's hot, because when it's gone, I may not restock this stuff because it just moves slowly. This is my favorite filament for surface finish. A buddy of mine uses it for everything. And there's not a lot of this, but Protopasta does a great job with their carbon fiber. It's not as strong as regular carbon fiber. That's a whole different process. But it does have a beautiful surface finish. It is a little bit hard on your tips, and by a little bit, I mean a lot. But my buddy that's using this, I asked him, you know, how much have you gone through? He said, I've gone through a couple rolls. He's like, it's fine. I don't see any, you know, like the hole getting bigger. He says, it's the same slice. So this stuff looks so nice when you print it in a low layer height. But it's a carbon fiber PLA, and you won't find that anywhere for $35. This is the best deal, I think, of all of it. And then this stuff, Breathe 3D, or Breathe 3DP, very, very, very good company, very high quality filament. And I haven't said this before, but this is, it's US made, and this is our best filament. And I don't talk a lot about it, but when I was doing the Big E, I bought like hundreds of pounds of this stuff to do this big plane I was doing and some other stuff that I've printed on that. And this stuff prints so nice. We call it Apex. So it's actually PLA+++, which is, maybe it's just 2 pluses. PLA++. They named it that. I didn't want to say PLA++ because I always do it wrong. So we named it Apex. But there's white, there's red. Anyway, go look at the colors. But this stuff is so nice because it acts like ABS in that you can bend it a little bit. It's flexible. It's not as brittle as PLA. This stuff performs so nice and prints so beautifully. You got to check this out. and it's only 15 bucks right now, which is a smoking deal. So get your Apex or Breathe 3D PLA++. There's quite a bit of this, I think, but those won't last forever, but I wanted you to tell you about them. I don't like selling stuff on this, but that is a great deal. So you should stock up on your filament. All right. Oh, somebody put a link in there. That was nice. Thanks, Michael. All right, so that's what I got. The Adopt-A-Bot, I gave you a little update. We're in an organizational loop right now, so you may not see a lot coming out about that unless you're on the list. And there won't be any more for sale until we get all these files done, tested, shipped, and then we're ready to start round 3. But we have an army, a print army of people that are going to help, so it will be exciting. I'm hoping to get all up and running so that by Christmas we can have some schools getting a little Christmas present for to start the new year with these printers, gifted by the community, or some schools will just buy them, and then we'll figure out how we can deliver them. But the important part of Adopt-A-Bot, I just want to highlight this every time, is that it matches people with schools for support. And some of you guys are like, I don't need any support. Yeah, but teachers in classrooms do. They need support. So it's so important that these printers go to local schools that are close to people involved in the process. Or they go to schools that are great at 3D printing already. Because it's just so frustrating to have all of this love and effort from the community be delivered to a school and nothing happens. That's a shame. And I don't blame the teachers. They've got a whole bunch of kids in their classes, and their life's nuts. But I don't want to give bots to schools that won't use them. So that's very important to make sure there's support and a community forming there at the school before we get these printers to them. So I always want to highlight that. All right, anything else we want to say, Dave?
A few questions, unless you already answered.
Yeah, what are they?
Starting to put together a dual color project setup. We'd like to know if someone from PBHQ is going to create a firmware version to support the project.
Well, the new firmware is actually being done by a guy. I say new firmware. We're experimenting with some firmware hacks from our friend in Florida. So he does have that firmware, and it's on GitHub. I forget what that was called. Can you? You know what? I'll have to link to it later. But I know that the project is on GitHub. If you go to the dual, yeah, what is it? Printrbot.com/dual. If you go to that website, you will see the link, and we downloaded the firmware from there. It does this little trick to make the extruder, the second extruder, it's called T1. There's T0, T1, and T2 when you have a printer board with the extruder board. Anyway, it tricks it into thinking that there's a thermistor on that second one, and it will not have the, cold extrusion alarm that won't let the motor run. So anyway, there's already firmware that is being experimented with, but it's not perfect, so we're working on it. What else we got?
Did you already show the flexible plates?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We covered flex plates.
And then the last one, unless you answered already, is I have an original Kickstarter printer. What should I do to upgrade?
You should buy a Smalls bare bones. Or you could buy the Simple Pro chassis. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I mean the bare bones of this, you don't get electronics. You'll have to do your own wiring, but that Kickstarter stuff would work. You may have to make some changes on the extruder, but yeah, there's no easy. It's impossible to go back 6 years and support. I've forgotten so much. I have one, but to make current products they work very easy with it. It's Ford. They sell cars and things change every year, every other year. So we do our best, and all I can offer is the bare bones kit, and then you're on your own to make it work, or the Simple Pro chassis, which is even better hardware. So it's more expensive. But that hardware is killer. It's the best stuff we have as far as rails, linear rails. It's just a beautiful machine. But yeah, it comes in a chassis that you could, plug in all your motors to, and your wiring and your extruder, or at least your hot end. You may have to buy an extruder. But yeah, that's the way it is with upgrading these bots. And you can also do a rep wrap too. There's lots of rep wrap stuff on Thingiverse if you want to do something other than what I designed 6-7 years ago. But I don't blame you for wanting to upgrade. But do go with, you have a board probably that doesn't use the Z sensor. That auto bed leveling. Some guys have the RevD board, which used micro switch for the Z. This is worth investing in. It's just a few bucks, but you do have to upgrade your board. So you could get a new Rev F6 or something. Or there's other boards out there that support it. But the reason why this is so nice is you don't have to level the bed. And in those early Kickstarter ones, you did have to, fits around with, is this corner higher or lower, and watch it, and it wasn't very rigid. So it's worth upgrading to something that supports that auto level sensor. It's really tramming, auto tramming is what it is. All right, I think that's it. It's 5:07. Showed up a little early today, so that was 45 minutes. But we're going to get out of here. It's good to be back. Stay tuned for the files for Adopt a Bot. Sorry for the delay, but I'm glad my daughter's at college, and I'm glad we're almost done with our move. Our squeezing down into space. I'll be more rested next week. But good to see you. Happy printing, folks. Thanks for tuning in. And now I have to stop my own thing. Usually Dave does this.
Yeah, so you'll
All right, bye. Oh, wait.